Hi, my name is Bethany, and today I'm going to be talking about something that some speech-language pathologists use called social thinking. Thank you to my patrons for voting on this video idea. Now, this appears to be a concept coined social thinking by a person named Michelle Garcia Winner in the mid-1990s. She now has a company of that same name. From the graphic at the top of their page, it appears they are celebrating 25 years. Now, this appears to be a type of programming that's supposed to help people who struggle with social skills to do better. Specifically, I've seen ASD levels 1 and 2 and ADHD listed as potential people this would be used on. Now, I think that as a concept, social skills and helping people understand maybe how to interact in certain situations is great as long as that is a consensual process that the person going through this wants to know, wants to be able to like interact on other people's terms, if that makes sense. I'm not really a big fan of forcing children to learn how to mask and expecting them to constantly do that. That's one of my issues with ABA, and looks like social thinking might be leaning that way as well. In her presentation on the methodology, Winner states, as you consider your social thinking, it's the ability to adapt your behavior effectively based on the situation and what you know about the people in the situation for them to react and respond to you in the manner you had hoped. Now, immediately, this language concerns me because it really seems like she's saying that we should be responsible for how other people react and interact with us. That we should act and conform ourselves to a way that's pleasing to other people so that they're nice to us. And that's not something I feel that you should be teaching people. Of course, this feels like masking, but with more of a manipulative twist.
And so you begin to figure out, okay, what do I know about these people? What should I do based on that? But you also want to figure out, how do I want people to think about me? After all, social is a judgment. We don't get to decide for ourselves if we have good social skills.
How do I want people to think of me? And this is where I'm going to have an issue with this program. I understand if this is something that someone desires to go through, where they're like, hey, I don't know, people don't seem to like me that much. I want to try to like learn how to do better in this, but I don't think it's okay to make this a part of a curriculum basically required for disabled people to go through. To make them think, well, how do you want people to see you? Don't you want to do what they would like you to do so that they're nice to you? In one of her free videos she has on her site, she describes a young man that she has been doing therapy with for a while who said they were fed up, basically, with all the, I have to think about what you're thinking about me, and I have to be thinking about what I'm thinking about you, and thinking about in general, and how you're acting, and how I'm acting, and how I should act in this situation, and it's just too much, I'm done. So basically, she thought it would be a good idea to go over with him the reason why we use social skills, and this is what she said she came to the conclusion of.
What's the purpose of our social skills? And when we studied it, we realized that it impacts how we make people feel. That also impacts how they may feel about us. And ultimately, at some level, it impacts how we feel about ourselves. As much as we should learn over the years to be able to feel good about ourselves in spite of what other people are doing or saying, at the same time, I think at a very basic level, we're all very vulnerable to how people are treating us and reacting to us. But we also can find power in understanding how are they interpreting us, and how do we want to adapt our behavior so they interpret us and think and feel about us the way we want them to think about us. That's at the core of social thinking.
This is a core part of the program. And basically that's saying, if I act in a way that I know other people will like, they'll be nice to me, and therefore I can feel good about myself. Excuse me? I get what she's trying to do. I get that she's trying to help. I get that she's trying to explain to people, like, you know, if you act a certain way, people might not feel super comfortable, so that might be why they're uncomfortable around you. But to say that basically you have to act in such a way that will make everyone else feel good and will be good for everyone else so that they treat you well so you can feel good about yourself, that's where I'm going to have a very big issue with you. Because one, you're saying that it is the person's responsibility how other people treat them. And I get that to an extent. For example, if you treat someone poorly, don't expect them to treat you well back. But by doing socially acceptable behaviors in that moment, so you can get the approval of other people and their approval will make you feel good about yourself, that's not okay. And because you might act a little differently, is it your fault when those people treat you poorly? It shouldn't be, but according to this, it sure seems that she's implying that it is your fault. Don't you want people to think you're normal? Don't you want to fit in? Don't you want to be included? Just act the way that they want you to, and you'll feel good about yourself. This is what she calls the social emotional chain reaction. The website states professionals who use our work include speech language pathologists, special and general education teachers, social workers, counselors, clinical and school psychologists, occupational therapists, behavior specialists, school administrators, paraprofessionals, marriage and family therapists, and medical professionals, to name a few. Why is it so prevalent in therapy, in special education, etc.? For instead of helping, just helping to learn in a way that helps them to learn, you also decide to tell them to prepare to be bullied. That it's their fault because they're different. And if they don't act a certain way, well, of course they're going to be bullied. People won't like them. They don't fit in. Why is there so much blame put on people in special education? This makes me angry. This makes me angry that this is being seen as an acceptable thing to teach people through SLP, through OT, through special ed. Like, this isn't okay. Teaching an autistic person that other people treating them like crap is their fault is not okay. Why don't we have an understanding in mainstream education? Why don't we teach everyone that we should understand, yes, sometimes there are people who act differently, and that's not bad. Why don't we teach these children that they're responsible for their actions, that it's not okay to bully someone, whether they are in special education or not, whether they act weird or not? Why is it on the disabled or disordered person's end to be responsible for other people's actions, but yet the people who don't have disabilities and don't have disorders can do whatever they want and it's not their fault? There should be a balance. Yes, we help people understand why things might be happening, that we have to treat people nicely if we expect them to be nice back to us. But that should be on both sides. It shouldn't be you should conform to whatever someone wants of you so that they'll be nice to you so that you can feel good about yourself. That's really messed up. Now look, there are some aspects of the social thinking program that are okay, like I don't really have a big issue with. Some are a little iffy depending on the context. So I'm gonna just share just a few of the social thinking vocabulary that they had listed on their thing. This is not all of them. These are just some of them I kind of paid more attention to. Think with your eyes. This is a statement used in lieu of telling a student to use good eye contact or look at me. We have found that many students with social learning challenges don't know what they are supposed to think about when we simply tell them to use good eye contact. By explaining that they should think with their eyes, we can begin to teach them that eyes aren't just for looking at another person during an interaction. The eyes are powerful tools to be used for gaining information in almost any situation. For example, if a teacher is showing a picture book to a small group, students are not expected to use eye contact with the teacher. Instead, students are expected to show they are thinking about the book by looking at the book. Often a teacher will pause to ask a question. She may not state the student's name, but instead signify that she is speaking to that student by just looking. The concept of thinking with your eyes is also relevant in problem solving and perspective taking. For instance, children learn that they use their eyes to figure out others' plans. For example, I see him reach for the blue one, that means he wants the blue one, and determine what to do next. For example, I see others lining up and I know to line up too. Now, in some contexts, I think this is fine. Explaining what you mean when you're saying use good eye contact and stuff like that is a good thing. And teaching children that doesn't mean like stare at the teacher, or that maybe they can pick up clues that might be confusing for them normally. Maybe explaining that can be helpful. I agree. However, we have a lot of autistic people who have significant challenges with making eye contact. So I think that as long as this was used with understanding that some students will not be able to hold eye contact with everybody all the time, and maybe just explaining like, hey, you know, when we kind of take a glance at our surroundings, we can kind of figure out more of how to do things and stuff. I think that's fine, but I don't know how they're using this. Then there's expected and unexpected behavior. We teach that social and communicative expectations are contextually sensitive. In fact, for every situation, there are a set of expected and unexpected behaviors that generate different types of thoughts. When a behavior is expected for a situation, it encourages us to have a good or okay or normal thoughts and feelings. When a behavior is unexpected, we tend to have uncomfortable or weird thoughts and related feelings. How we think about someone over time affects our social memory of them. Note, this is not the same as thinking a person is weird. Instead, we have weird thoughts based on the behavior within that situation. That distinction is cute, but meaningless. You're saying that our behavior affects how people think of us, and how people think of us affects their social memory of us. So if they think weird thoughts because we do unexpected things, effectively they're going to say that person is weird in their social memory. So you can try to make that distinction, but it's really not there, is it? This is actually what brought me to look into social thinking, because someone had shared where apparently, and I don't know if this is in line with the teachings or not, but apparently a school had placed up like paper poster type things to remind people basically who were going through like social skills classes and who might be in special education and stuff like that to remember to do expected behaviors, because expected behaviors promote good thoughts in others and ourselves, and unexpected behaviors promote weird or unpleasant thoughts and feelings in ourselves and others. So while we like to make the distinction, you are working with children. Anyone under the age of 18, I'm just gonna say you're working with children. And by saying that, you can try to sit here and say that there's a distinction, but they're translating that as do the normal things or people will think you're weird. Don't be a weirdo. Do the things people expect of you. Don't stim. Don't do weird things. They're gonna think you're weird. That's gonna affect their social impression of you. That's not helpful. That is not helpful. That is just not helpful. That makes me mad. Like, it just makes me mad. So then there is this one that I just kind of found amusing called social fake. This is a concept that explores how genuinely interested we feel as we engage in a social dialogue with others. Most of us are interested in getting to know one another, even though we aren't always fascinated by exactly what they say. We teach that often we simply tolerate others' conversational topic in order to maintain the social emotional connection. How we make each other feel is more important than the exact words used to sustain the relationship. And now we know that everyone is fake. I understand what they're saying is like sometimes we endure conversations that aren't that interesting to us. But like the message I would get from this is people don't mean what they're saying. People actually secretly don't care about me or what I'm saying to them. And also that if nobody actually cares about what people are talking about, why do we have to engage in conversation anyway? And I care about like what words are used. That matters to me. I don't know if that's an autistic thing or just a general human thing, but to say like how we make other people feel is more important than what we are actually saying or the words being used. Like, that's really weird to me. Maybe that's a concept that helps some people, but that would just like make me not want to interact with people, but that's just me personally. So to wrap this up, if you are a practitioner in any of the areas that they said that this is supposedly being used in, I personally, based on this information, would recommend against using social thinking. If you're a parent and you have a child in therapies, in special ed, whatever, I would find out if they use the social thinking model and ask that they not, or at least ask that it's modified to not make your child personally responsible for everyone else's feelings about them, and also to not teach them that they're not allowed to do unexpected or weird or whatever things, basically like stim or be themselves, because other people won't like them, basically. If you can take those parts out, which sadly are core to the teaching, then, you know, do your thing. I imagine other social skills programs probably are capable of teaching the good parts of this without the weird social thinking thing. I get adapting to situations that, like, not all situations can be dealt with by scripts, so I understand where they're trying to come from, but this is just the very problematic part of it, that if it's possible to omit and still keep the rest, then cool. I would just say look into it before using it. Take a moment to think about what you're really saying to someone when you use this method. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, found it interesting or informative or whatever, go ahead and give it a like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've ever encountered social thinking, if you've used social thinking, if you're familiar with it, etc. Just let's have a conversation about it. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. If you're interested in hearing about autism-related topics from me, I do post every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time to the best of my ability on this channel, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I'll see you in my next video.